Okay, so you're here either because you're asking for what's known as an anti-harassment order against someone, or someone's asked for an anti-harassment order against you. I can read you the definition of harassment. Harassment is a knowing and willful course of conduct directed at a specific person that seriously alarms, annoys, harasses, or is detrimental to such person and that serves no legitimate or lawful purpose. Course of conduct must be such as would cause a reasonable person to suffer substantial emotional distress and must actually cause substantial emotional distress to the petitioner. Course of conduct is defined as a series of acts over a period of time, evidencing continuity of purpose. And those are the things that we're going to be looking for in terms of whether or not the behavior alleged is harassing or not. The way we proceed on these cases is, well, since there's a lot of people in court, take a petitioner will come up to one side, petitioner will take a respondent will take the other. I swear in the petitioner, I'll hear from the petitioner. I've reviewed the petitions beforehand. Sometimes their information provided in that petition isn't necessarily complete. So I'll hear from the petitioner, then I'll swear in the defendant, and then I'll hear from the defendant. Following that, I'll hear from any witnesses if I feel it's appropriate, but you need to identify if you wish to call witnesses. And so we'll pretty much go from there. A couple of ground rules we're talking about. I want everybody, all comments directed to me and only me. Don't look at the other person and take shots at them, as sometimes happens in court, even after I give that warning. You're going to hear things you don't like. You're going to hear things you disagree with. You're going to hear things you might think are wrong. But it's up to me to decide one way or the other whether or not an order is going to be entered or not. And so don't talk over the other person. Don't interrupt the other person. Don't interrupt me. And because I may have some questions for one or maybe both of you. And that's how we're going to proceed here this morning. So we're going to start with Mr. Eden. Why don't you come on up and take one table? Ms. Pardee, you can come up and take the others. So this comes on. This case is pretty familiar to me. I'm sure at this point I'm pretty familiar to both of you. There are orders currently in place going both ways, and Mr. Eden has asked for a modification on his order. And so what is it? Well, my first question is, did you write this petition out yourself?
Do I
the handwriting, the handwritten thing? No. What's that? I'm sorry.
I had help. I
mean, who wrote that?
Penmanship. My mother.
And there's a case, if I'm reading the docket correctly, there's a case set for trial here on the day after tomorrow. Is that accurate?
Yes, it's right here. You're on right. I wasn't able to submit it in my declaration because it came later.
No, I'm aware. So what change are you asking for?
I basically just wanted how it was that, you know, she can't film me. And that was left out when we went back to court the last time. That didn't get put in there. And that's all I was, you know, just simply do not film my property or me anymore. And that's why she's getting in trouble Wednesday, Thursday for breaking the filming and posting.
Well, I mean, that's not, that hasn't been decided yet.
Right. Okay, you're right.
And ma'am, if memory serves, Ms. Pardee, could you raise your right hand, please? You swear and affirm the information you provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you can put your hand down. And my recollection is you've been before the court on a adjustment to this order as well, if my memory right. Is that accurate?
Yes, sir.
And then tell me what that was about.
That involved the children and I.
Okay.
He has cameras on the fence that are at the side of his property directly across from my driveway.
Okay.
And they face the front of my house, the kids' rooms, and our backyard.
And then what changed?
Well, he turns them on when the police leave and then turns them off when they come. But and then they turn the spotlight off. He had a spotlight at our driveway with a blue light, and that was in my face, and another bright light and another spotlight. There were like 5 or 6 spotlights at the time.
So what's your response to his request to adjust the no contact order?
There isn't anything any different than there has been from the very beginning when I opened my sniff spot. Those cameras have been there for years. This isn't anything new.
Are those cameras, they go onto his property or just yours?
Just the right of way. I can't even see his home, and they're at the side. His driveway is clear around the corner and in the front. I don't even have a camera there.
Okay. Mr. Eden, any response?
I mean, the pictures that she's posted on her social media sites show my property from her cameras. There's 5 of them viewing my property. I mean, this is why we're here. I mean, if she's not filming it, how's she posting pictures of it?
Ms. Pardee, I'll hear from you.
There's no pictures of his property. He's not even showing any today that I'm taking any of his property. I'm not, the cameras are not on his property. I have a caregiver here. She can testify. She sees those cameras every day.
Okay, so give me just a second. These no contact orders in place.
They've been for a couple of years.
No, I know, I know, I mean, going forward.
2 more years.
And this involves children, Your Honor.
I know, ma'am, but that's not what we're about. We're about here. I see.
It's just for my safety, Your Honor. That's it.
You know, here's the thing here, Mr. Eden, Ms. Pardee.
Were you able to get her last declaration that she just submitted a few days ago?
Well, it was written, it was submitted on the 5th. I probably didn't read it.
I would like for you to read that if you do have it.
Hers?
Yes.
No. So the order that I entered was a while ago, and there were orders both ways. And then it looks like Judge Buckley entered new orders in February of 2025, just a couple of months ago, also going both ways. Is that correct?
Well,
The next for 2 years? That's what.
Yes.
The 2 years, correct.
Okay, 2 years. Hang on just a minute, please. 2 years from February of 2025. So these orders are in place through February of 2027. Correct? You agree? Okay, thank you. And these cameras have been in place. So when did, okay, give me just a second. Let's see. So it looks like the orders I did were back on December of 2023. So I did orders in December of 2023. Then Judge Buckley extended, looks like he extended those in 2025. I see. Go back and look at that original order. Okay, so here's what's going to happen today. I'm not sure what the order going was a protected party. Can you do an order? So on the order that I did, I said that there's no stalking behavior, and then Judge Buckley, for whatever reason, didn't check that box. I'm going to recheck that box, which means you're not to engage in stalking behavior, and then which means you can't, follow him around and film him with the camera and things like this. Yes, you can have cameras up there that for your own property, but and if you feel like that's violated, you need to report that to the prosecutor's office. But that's what's going to happen today. It's going to be similar to the original order that I entered back in 2023.
I understand, Your Honor.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. No. Just a modifications. Okay.
Your Honor, for
Yes.
clarification, that goes both ways, right? So if
What's
Mr.
that? Well, no,
Eaton's-
this is just the one. I think that was.
I already have one, but.
Yeah, and so
Yeah.
what his order, he's only here on behalf of,
But I mean, all the times he's videoing me with his phone that I'm logging in, I
Okay.
should actually be reporting that to the police, not just making
I
a
mean,
log.
you can, again, I can't, and I'm not going to tell you what to do or how to conduct yourselves out there. I
Uh-huh.
think given the history, I don't think either one of you are too willing to take my advice, but, I mean, this has gone on for years. And I'm not going to be telling either one of you what to do, other than you maybe look inward between the both of you and figure out the way you can get along with your next door neighbor. And I don't want to hear, or you shouldn't be thinking, well, gosh, it's not me, it's her. No, it's not me, it's him. I mean, I think a little self-reflection could go on in both parties. And you, if you're going to file anything further, you need to write it. You're old enough that we see that I have terrible handwriting, but you need to write your own petitions.
Okay.
I think you're old enough to do stuff without your mother.
Yes. Can I say one thing before we're done?
Is it going to
It'll be
be
quick.
productive?
Well, I think so. And that the latest declaration, I'm sure you'll get the last one she just submitted to the courts. It says that I've been calling her names and trying to interact.
Okay, so
with
that's
her.
not, again, that's exactly what I don't want.
Oh, it was just
A
violation.
That, you know what, then you need to report that to the prosecutor's office and let them handle it.
Okay.
The only thing I'm here to decide is whether to grant your adjustment, and the minor adjustment I am making is,
Oh, Judge Meyer, I have a
Yes.
question
yes,
procedurally. Since I'm representing myself in court and we're litigating a land use issue and that is in the right of way and that is what we're litigating, those videos are of that area.
okay.
If I have to
so,
represent
ma'am,
myself, How do I
Okay.
get that evidence?
I don't, I can't give you advice on that. I can't give advice either. I can't tell you how to run your case. And I just can't do that. I mean, you don't want me telling him what to do, and I'm not gonna do that.
I
And
just want it
can't tell you
noted
what
that
to
I
do
do
to-
have to run my own
Land use.
case.
Okay, thank
Okay,
you. And
thank
that,
you.
if it's a land use case, that'll be in Superior Court, which is not
Yeah.
even this court, but I can't comment on that.
Okay, no, of course not. I just wanted to make it noted that that is what we're doing and that is the crossover. Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome. Respondent, that's you, ma'am, Ms. Pardee, shall not engage in stalking behavior as defined in RCW 9A 9120,
Portia.
which includes keep under physical or electronic surveillance, cyber harass, or use phone or video to record, photograph, or track locations of communication, which basically is, not on his property. Don't be filming him on his property.
Of course.
That's it for today. If you guys want copies of this, we'll make them for you.
Yes. Your Honor, please.
Ma'am, do you want a copy of this? Mr. and Ms. Hunsinger, can you come on the Zoom call? And Ms. Thompson, same?
Do you need me to turn on my camera, Judge?
Yes, I want if you're gonna be on Zoom, you gotta be where I can see you. The Hunsingers, you on the Zoom call there?
Yes, I'm trying to get my camera working. Sorry, Your Honor.
Are you Mr. Hunsinger?
Yes.
I'm gonna need you to be stationary.
Okay.
So,
Is that better, Your
Mr.
Honor?
I guess the Hunsingers or the petitioners?
Correct.
Who wants to speak first?
I can.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear and affirm the information and testimony you provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Absolutely, Your Honor.
Go ahead. How is it you need an order against Ms. Thompson?
I need an order on Miss Thompson because my husband decided to have a friends with benefits affair with her, and she has continuously reached out to his place of work, which is UPS, on May 5th, and she, without his consent, RCW 9A.86.010, disclosing intimate images to his employer with false name and expressing she thought he was possibly doing this friends with benefits on the job. And she has repeatedly contacted me via Facebook, which I was grateful for. And then she bashed my family on this web page on Facebook called Are We Dating the Same Guy? The first time, and I had asked her nicely to take it down, which she had done. And she wanted me to be friends with her. I don't want to be friends with a mistress. She wanted to meet up with me, meet my kids, confront my husband in person, and I didn't want that. I was very cordial and very vague with her. She wanted me to call her inappropriate names. My heart is not my heart is not foul, and I just think it takes two to tango, not just one. And she got upset that I deleted her off Facebook, so she then posted again on Facebook and bashed my family. And I think it was very inappropriate. I did tell her I was going to take legal action, and she had put a restraining order on my husband on May 21st with the Pierce County District's office, and it was denied because there was false, or not false, I'm sorry, a anonymous statement, which was false because my husband and I were at home on the 16th. We just had lost his sister unexpectedly on May 10th. So we do have witnesses of being home that day. Um, and I just am very upset. She continued to contact him by different phone numbers on this app that my husband was using. And her fiance also reached out to my husband multiple times on Facebook and texting. And we have not talked to her. We have not reached out to her. He had stopped all contact on May 8th with her per UPS, per the union, to try and fight hard for his job back. Um, I don't know why she went to the extent of turning him into his employer, um, especially sending intimate photos without his consent. Um, and yeah, I'm just wanting
When was the
protection
last
for my
time you heard
children.
from her?
The last time I heard from her specifically, um, I would have to say, I am sorry, Your Honor, I deleted my Facebook, so let me just pull it right back up for you.
Looks like there's two there. What was 17? Was 17? That's King County. One
The
in
last
King
time she had reached out to me was on May 24th.
All right. And you haven't heard from her since then?
I have not, no.
Mr. Hunzinger, could you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear and affirm the information and testimony you provide will be the truth with your hand up in the air? Do you swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, Your Honor.
You can put your hand down. Go ahead. You're part of this. You're a petitioner also.
Your Honor,
So-
me and Cheyenne had a texting friends with benefits. We met on a 10-minute break. We met on a 30-minute lunch. Things kind of progressed a little more than I wanted.
Well, I don't.
It,
Yeah, well, hang on just a second. So I'm not sure I completely agree with that based on what's I've seen in the statements from both parties, but go ahead.
I made it clear that
I guess the point I'm making is if you didn't want it to progress, why did it progress? But that's not really what we're here for, but go ahead.
you're correct, Your Honor. It went further. I believe she wanted more and I didn't want more. I'm married. I shouldn't be doing this. I understand, Your Honor. She did make false accusations. I quit all contact May 8th, and I didn't want any contact. My union, everybody that I've talked to, my mom, don't make any more contact. Hopefully this thing she'll just go away. I got calls from my union that she was calling my work saying I texted her mother, sent images. That is not true, Your Honor. I have not had any contact, and I can put that on my grave. I put that on my son's life. I have not had any contact.
Don't be talking like that. That's completely inappropriate.
Okay. I'm sorry, Your Honor. I have had zero contact with her since May 8th. Not anybody she knows or anything. I just wish that we can go our separate ways and the harassment on her end can stop with all these false accusations.
All right. Hang on just a second. So Ms. Or anything further, I guess?
I just go ahead, Kayla.
No,
No,
I
not
don't know
from
who he's
you,
talking
ma'am.
about.
I've already heard from you. I'm here. I'm talking to him. If you want something to add at the end, I'll come back to you in a minute. I'm talking to Jacob.
I would just like for all this to go away. Like I said, I've cut contact since May 8th was the last time I contacted her. And all I ask is that she please stop going to my work, making up these fake text messages that I've been texting her. I have not texted her at all since May 8th or contact anybody she knows. I never went to her work. I was at home with my wife and my wife's best friend's mom. My sister just passed away. So I just want things to go. Please let us just go our separate ways and That's all I ask.
I just have one question. This is just a yes or no question. Are you still employed at your employer?
No, not, well, it's under investigation, Your Honor.
Okay. Ms. Thompson, could you raise your right hand? You swear and affirm the information and testimony you provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, Your Honor.
Are you asking for an order in King County?
Yes, I am.
Do they know about that?
I'm not sure if they've been served or not.
So you were asking for an order in Pierce County that was filed on May 21st. I was
Yes.
told by Ms. Hunzinger that was denied. Now you're
Mhm.
asking for another order out of King County?
Correct.
All right. I'll hear your position on on their request for an order.
I don't think it's justified. I haven't made any fake Facebooks. I haven't made any fake accounts to text them. I wasn't even aware that my fiance had reached out to them. I just want this all to go over and get over with. His employer had made it explicitly clear that they needed those images and they said it was okay. Of course, I'm going to trust somebody that works at head of security over my own judgment, which I probably shouldn't have done. I admit that.
Is there a court date set in King County on your second no contact order?
Yes, there it is, June 16th.
June 16th? Okay.
Yes.
I can't say.
Yeah, I know the King County stuff we can't see. I know that. All right. Well, that's not in front of me. The only thing in front of me here right now is whether or not an order should be entered in favor of the Hunsingers restricting you, Ms. Thompson. There is a court date in King County. But the order, if you refer back to the definition that I read about harassment earlier, this was not a real positive breakup, and frankly, not a real positive relationship, given the context of everything that I've heard about this. Like I say, you both want the same thing, so to stay away from each other. But, one thing that, and I hear a lot on these cases, and I might even be here in other cases here this morning, you need to stop this person from bad-mouthing me on Facebook or Instagram or some other social media website that I've never heard of. I can't do that. People can render an opinion, or I've had even people say on a business, stop this person from making bad Yelp reviews. I can't do that either. And so, people have the right to express themselves on social media and so forth, and there's nothing I can do about that. I can enter orders that keep people away from each other and not talking to each other. But given the context and the emotion that's described, I don't find that this rises to the level of harassment. I will tell you, Ms. Thompson, though, any sort of reaching out to them again, I probably would consider that harassment based on everything I've heard here today. I'm not sure what's happening on your King County case. I will say that judges sometimes tend to be a bit skeptical when they go to one court, ask for something, don't get it, and then think, oh, well, maybe I'll go to a different court with a different judge. Maybe I can get it there. I don't know. I can't speak to King County Superior Court, but that would always make me scratch my head about, hey, what's exactly is going on here? So you might want to think about that. And if everybody really wanted to stay away from each other, they wouldn't drag each other into court. And so, but for today, your petition, the Hunsinger's petition for the order will be denied. But like I say, ma'am, Ms. Thompson, I might have a different result if any sort of contact comes up, and you need to think about what you send and who you're sending it to, and all of that. But that'll be my ruling here today.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your
You
Honor.
folks are all free to leave the Zoom call. Mr. Earhart, to come on up and take us, or Mr. Shepard, sorry. Mr. Shepard, and then Ms. Farr. Ms. Farr in the Zoom call. You can take a seat. This is a case I'm also familiar with. This had been reset. If I recall right, I've heard testimony from both. I've reviewed all the video. some of which has been submitted by both sides. So Ms. Farr, I'll hear from you.
Yes, sir.
Hang on just a minute. I hit the wrong button here. Anything you wish to add to what I've heard thus far? I mean, I heard all about this with your child and the bus stop and the possible relations and so forth. And then I've heard from Mr. But anything you wish to add to that?
So we did see each other one time. He tried to hop on the bus. My boyfriend told him he couldn't ride. He did hop off respectfully. That's been our only other encounter. The other thing is I just want to make sure you've seen all of the stuff that I put in under the petitioner files, because I have there's 3 videos, particularly one from my phone and then the 2 from his phone. I know you've at least heard those 2. I don't think I could get the video
I've
for
heard
that. I
them.
did try.
I've heard them.
Does mine have video? The one from my phone, is it actually a video?
No, but I think what was on there in terms of audio was, I heard that. Go ahead, Mr. Shepherd. I'll hear from you.
Oh, Your Honor, I just want to apologize to the petitioner of how I reacted whenever they came across the street to confront me. I did feel threatened in a way, just because it was her and her husband, and they were pointing a phone at me, and there was a lot of back and forth yelling at each other, and I felt that I was defending myself, but I wish I would have gone about it a different way. I should have stepped inside and just called the cops and had them deal with it, but I said what I said, and I'm just sorry for that. I apologize.
How far? So you guys live in a complex that's across the street from theirs. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you have kids that ride the same bus as theirs?
My kids are 9 months old and 5-year-old.
Okay, so they don't ride the school bus, but you ride the
school bus,
yeah,
just
but-
public transportation.
Got it. All right.
And my 5-year-old, he usually he hasn't since this incident, but he usually plays across the street with a lot of the kids in the neighborhood, just because my complex doesn't have a lot of kids and the other one has a lot playing outside. But we've avoided that, and I haven't been over there. And, like she said, since I was served, I've stepped off the bus whenever I've seen them, and I've just avoided them. And I just want this to settle. I don't want to.
All right.
I'm sorry.
Well, so here's what's going to happen today. But again, do you know how many feet you live, or like how there's that street? Was that Yager? I saw the video of the dash cam where the police were talking to both you and her, not dash cam.
I'm not sure which building she lives in. I don't know anything about what building she lives
Okay,
in. Or how
but at the
far.
complex, I mean, how wide's that
It's-
street?
It's probably the street's probably 50 feet
All right.
across, and then
And
their
so,
complex
and then the
again.
bus stop, is that on your side of the street or their side? of the
There's
street?
one on both sides
Okay.
that go opposite directions.
All right. So here's what's going to happen today here, Mr. Shepherd. I appreciate your comments about, how this came about, but, I go back to the original and how this started. The comments made that are attributed to you, that were made to Ms. Farr's child, which were kind of upsetting to the child. They were just trying to find out what was going on. You responded in the manner that I won't repeat what you said, but even you agree at this point that was highly inappropriate and confrontational
Yes, Your Honor.
and served no legal or lawful purpose. So I'm going to enter an order, and the order is going to say that, well, how far off the street is your place? I don't want your specific apartment, ma'am. Are you? Yeah, go ahead.
So that's Capitol Mall Drive, and I can actually show you because I'm outside my building right now if you'd like.
No, that's okay. I just,
So
here's the thing, ma'am, just a second. Okay, can you stop? Let me hear you for a second. Let me listen to me for a second. And so I'm going to enter an order. He's not to contact you or your child. I'm going to put a distance restriction that he's not to come from you, but at the same time, I don't want to restrict his ability to use the bus stop. And so if he's not to come within 20 feet of you, your child, your and your residence, that would still allow him to, would that still allow him to use the bus stop? Go ahead.
The feet restriction probably wouldn't, but I'm okay if he sees us and he leaves, or we tell him
All
we're
right.
there and he
Well, we can
leaves.
just
I don't
put a
have
no
problem with
contact
it.
order without a distance restriction then. You're just not to,
So if
You know,
they're on the
walk away.
bus and I'm
yeah, you
being
can wait for the
honest-
next one.
Okay, yes, Your Honor.
And then this will expire for a year. Hopefully things will have calmed down. And then, well, you can go, all of you can go on about your business now.
Your Honor.
Yes,
can I
sir.
add something? I'm not sure if it's her husband or her spouse or boyfriend or whatever. But a lot of time I run every day, 5 to 10 miles a day. And a lot of times when I'm out running through the street, there's been a couple times when he's like been on the sidewalk and he just like yells at me and screams at me as I'm passing by running. And I just wave it off and have a good day. I just keep running.
So
But-
ma'am, he's not talking about you. I'm going to assume you know who he's talking about. I'm not looking for a response here, but whoever that is, you might want to tell him to contain himself. Otherwise, there's nothing to stop Mr. Shepherd from coming and asking order to get him to stop that behavior.
I have, Your Honor, multiple times, even in the video, and he has stopped.
Okay, good. And so yeah, the primary order is you not to cause any harm. No contact. Don't engage in stalking behavior, and that's pretty much it. And the court will be in order in for a year.
Yes, Your Honor. Last time I was in court, Your Honor, you told me I was gonna receive an email for stuff. I'm not sure if you have the right email, but I haven't received anything this whole
Okay.
time.
Well, you're here. The only thing you would have gotten was notice of the court date.
Yes, Your Honor.
And I can give you this, we can make you a copy of this order right now. Ms. Farr, you can get it off the website.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Good luck to everybody. And ma'am, Ms. Farr, you're free to go.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Ms. Yonker and Mr. Flores, or Timberly Flores. I'm not sure who's that. Are they in court? Okay. So Ms. Yonker, and then are you both on the same? There's Timberly Flores right there.
Yes, I'm here, Your Honor.
Okay. Are you telling Tara and Dylan Brissett? You can come up to one of those tables. Take your hat off, though. Just curious. Okay, so the Brissettes. So we're here on the petition from Ms. Yonker and Ms. Flores. You guys live next door to each other?
Yes, Your Honor.
Our property lines connect.
And so, excuse me. Did, and again, before I'm going to hear from you, Ms. Yonker and Ms. Flores first, but it looks to me, and just looking through this, you in fact were in front of the court just a few days before they filed asking for an order against them. Is that correct?
Yes.
And so that order was denied, and so it was never set for hearing. So, and again, this is another one of these situations where everybody wants the same thing, which makes me confused as to why the court's involved. And I don't know whether either one of you were aware of that.
I was told by a deputy that responded to an incident at the Tenino Timberland Library that she had gone that morning to try to retrieve a protection order and was denied due to lack of evidence.
All right, who's going to speak first?
I'll go ahead and speak first because I've been dealing with the harassment a lot longer than Crystal has, if that's okay.
That's it. Yeah, that's fine. Could you raise your right hand, please?
Yes.
Do you swear and affirm the information and testimony you provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, Your Honor.
Give me just a moment. Go ahead. How is it you need an order against is it Brasset or Brissette?
Proceed.
And I'm wrong on both counts. Could you say that again, please?
Proceed.
Brosi?
Yeah.
Okay. How is it you need an order against the Brosis?
Okay, so I just want to say thank you for allowing me to speak. I'm requesting the protection order against Tara and Dylan due to escalating pattern of harassment, trespassing, intimidation, and threatening behavior directed at me and my family. The behavior began on October 16th of 2024. I had messaged Tara via Facebook, respectfully asking her to stop allowing her dogs to use my yard as their bathroom. The response and events that have followed have significantly affected my family's safety, well-being, and sense of peace in our home. On October 17th, Tara's young child came to my home barefoot and alone, asking for food. I gave him food and informed Tara. She had no idea that her child had left the home, and she was not even home. This raised serious concerns about supervision and safety. Between December and January, her dog repeatedly entered my yard unsupervised and defecating and also behaving aggressively. I messaged her to let her know that on 3 separate accounts, her dog had attacked my dog and was causing issues, and she still did not leash her dog or do anything to stop it. On December 20th, I informed her that her chickens were regularly in my yard. Her response was, "I know." And she made no effort to contain them as well. On March 1st, a group of at least 8 people surrounded my fence and attempted to jump it to come into my yard because one of her chickens were in my yard. She was yelling at my dogs and trying to enter the fence by jumping it. I allowed one person to come in and retrieve the chicken, but I felt like this was very threatening as they crowded my property. And then on March 5th, Tara created and began using an unauthorized path in my backyard to spy on me and walk to the neighbor's home. She and her children use this path daily, and often
Is it
stop
on
to
your
stare-
property?
Yes, this is on my property, and I believe
So
that
they're walking onto your property on a path?
yes.
All right.
And I believe that I have video evidence of them walking back and forth that I provided.
Some of that, I will
So-
say, some video that was provided in this case, for whatever reason, I was unable to view. But go ahead, continue.
Okay. But so from March 5th on, almost daily, they use this path in my backyard. They would stop and stare into my home for multiple, like, it wasn't just a stop for a minute or two. They would stand there for like 15 to 20 minutes. I've caught Tara cutting my plants and my trees along the fence line that I've been trying to use to prevent viewing them. On March 10th, she stole one of my dog's puppies after she had a litter from the backyard. She had admitted to keeping it. Whenever I finally confronted her after hours of searching for the dog, I had asked one of her oldest stepson, Elijah, if he had seen the puppy because he was playing out in the yard, out in the street. And his eyes got really big and he said, "I have to go ask my mom," and ran away. Then his younger brother walked up to my car and said, "My mommy has your puppy. It's in a kennel in my living room." So I sat there and I waited for Tara to come out. And when she did, I asked her if she had my dog. She said that she would return her in an hour or so when she was able to. And then on March 16th, Tara and her husband and her children built a fort in my backyard. And then, and that was also without my permission. On May 13th, I caught Tara in the act of In the act of attempting to take both of my puppies, she ran to her vent and fled the scene. And there's photo evidence of that as well. May 14th on May 14th, Tara and her husband began posting harassment comments on me and my, about me and my husband on our town's Facebook page, furthering escalating tensions. On May 16th, while I was trying to build a privacy fence to, I'm trying to get a 6-foot fence built so that we cannot contact each other so that there's no issue. They are relentless though. So where was I? Sorry.
You're going to talk to me about the fence.
Huh?
You started to talk about a fence.
Okay, yeah, on May 16th, while I was building the fence that was approved by my landlord, Tara stood watching me for at least 15 minutes, then returned with her husband and their firearms and walked along the property line in an intimidating manner. And her husband continued to pace around with a baseball bat, swinging it around, and they would not leave us alone the entire time or leave the vicinity of the area that we were in, which is in the back corner of their property. If they were just being outside, they could have been anywhere out there. They were literally directly on the other side of the holes that the fence was being dug at. On May 17th, she allowed her dog to approach me aggressively while I had worked on the fence. Only after I said I was recording did she restrain the dog and finally leave. That evening, they had their child stand on an elevated area in my yard to stare into my home for over 20 minutes. This is the child Elijah that they have used as a pawn in multiple games that they've been doing. He was definitely coached by them, as in the video you can see Dylan telling him, put your hood on, go over there, and then a thumbs up whenever he was there. Let's see here. May 22nd, a neighbor, which was Crystal, had texted me in fear because Tara had blocked her into her home and was driving or had drove up into her driveway, blocked her in her home, and was trespassing in her backyard, rummaging through her belongings.
Ma'am, I'm going to stop you. She's right here. I'm going to hear from her. I don't need to hear from you about her.
Okay, well, I was just letting you know that I was texted and that she was in fear for that.
You can continue.
Okay, thank you. Let's see. Later that evening, when the cops had came to speak with us about the incident, because I was the witness and recorded the break-in, he let us know that Tara and her associates went and changed clothes and were at a different address in hopes of not being found. On May 23rd, Dylan and Joshua, the person that they had involved in the crime of breaking in, were hovering around my 6-foot fence and pretending like they were going to jump over it and watching mine and Crystal's home for the evening. On May 25th, Dylan made a public Facebook post suggesting he was planning gun violence against me and Crystal. That evening, him, Tara, and Joshua held a bonfire, but spent the entire night watching our homes and peeking into our yards. Crystal called in a complaint due to the unsafe fire size because it was built next to our new wood fence. On the 27th, me and Crystal went to the Timberland Library to print documents for this court order. While we were there, or when we had walked in, Tara was already there and had immediately began calling someone, loudly announcing our presence and trying to escalate the situation. Whenever she continued, the librarian stepped in and stood between us so that we would have a witness. A police officer responded and 3 witnesses confirmed Tara's behavior. The officer told us that she had refused to leave and that he even feared that she would retaliate, so he stayed with us until we were finished, which allowed us to safely leave to proceed to the courthouse for this protection order. That evening, Tara began using her sprinkler system to intentionally spray my new wood fence in the backyard, making a portion of my yard also unusable, and I'm unable to upkeep it because she has her sprinkler going not only on my fence, but into my yard. And she has continued with that sprinkler almost every day since this evening. On May 30th, she was served with the order for this, that we were asking for a protection order, and it only made her and her husband escalate things. So on May 31st, the day after, I had went to go 5 blocks down to the convenience store to get barbecue sauce for dinner. Whenever I was pulling out, I was backing out of my driveway. Dylan and Joshua came speeding off from Martina to Main Street, which I live right on the corner. As they came speeding out, I had to pull in so that they wouldn't hit my car. They slowed down right behind me, revved their engine, and then continued to go. Once they continued to go, I backed out and left, but they were in front of me. They stopped in the middle of the road, would not allow me to continue driving forward, and sat there and watched as I finally made it into the store. Even the cashier asked if I was okay. He was afraid for my well-being because he could see two grown men staring me down in the middle of the street. On June 1st, Dylan continued to drive by and stare at us while we were outside, to the point to where we had to call non-emergency line for help. And Deputy Sheriff Jacob Crawford responded with the CAD number 251420735. And then on June 5th, I received a call from my property manager informing me that Tara has been harassing them as well about the fence. The property manager came out, confirmed that the fence was on my side of the property, and also noted that just within the 20 minutes that she was there, Dylan had drove past the home 5 times. Despite being told by the sheriff, the courthouse, public works, and the property owner to provide documentation for a property survey that she claims to have done, Tara has refused to show any proof. This ongoing behavior, trespassing, theft, intimidation with weapons, verbal harassment, stalking, and animal theft is making it impossible for me to live in my home peacefully. I have done my best to resolve these matters peacefully and within the law. I have documented and reported each incident in good faith, but the behavior has only escalated, and I now fear for my safety and the safety of my family. I ask that the court to issue this protection order to prevent any further contact, harassment, or trespassing by Tara Dillon and their associates. Thank you.
Ms. Yunker, could you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear and affirm the information you provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, Your Honor.
Before you start, where do you live relative to where the Brosets live?
I live, excuse me, Timberly and her husband.
Hang on just a minute. Ms. Flores, you need to stay on camera.
Okay.
Thank you. You can mute up, but stay on camera.
Okay.
And Ms. Yunker, go ahead.
Timberly and her husband Tyler live in between Tara and I. So she's sandwiched in between Tara and I.
So you're on one side, she's on the other.
Yes, Your Honor.
Got it. Go ahead.
The events, I was very good friends with the Brosets before. May 13th is really when everything started happening. Tara and her husband Dylan had taken to Facebook attacking Timberly and Tyler, calling them many explicit names, just airing a bunch of dirty laundry that really doesn't need to be aired in public like that. Tara messaged me, sending me screenshots of things that she felt she needed to say in said posts, and I advised her not to. May 13th was town hall meeting, and that was the day the Facebook thing started. May 14th, screenshots were shared of me expressing my disagreement with her actions between the neighbor dispute, my discontent about the dogs continuing to come into my yard after asking her multiple times to fix the perimeter collars that she bought for the dogs so that they couldn't not only enter my yard, but go through Timberly and Tyler's yard to access my yard. She allowed the dog perimeters to go beyond Timberly and Tyler's yard to be able to access my yard. And I had asked her multiple times to change that, and it fell on deaf ears, along with multiple other issues that I had previously brought to her. On May 15th, she and her stepson Elijah brought me leftover dinner at 10 p.m. at town hall, where I was sitting with the town clerk and treasurer at the end of the night, helping her with some leftover business. The town clerk even remarked about it being odd that she came to town hall at such a time with her stepson just to bring food and ask questions, because she's never done that. May 16th, I had a really bad migraine day. I suffer from chronic migraines due to an injury I sustained while I was active duty. Tara knows about this. I have a lot of evidence showing her expressed previous concern for my well-being due to these conditions. However, this day, May 16th, I had a really bad migraine day, and she kept trying to provoke a reaction out of me through text, showing up at my house, asking me about these screenshots. And that's when I started feeling unsafe being alone around her. So from then on, I made sure to either stay home, I wouldn't leave my house, or I would make sure that I had somebody around me that could witness any uncouth behavior that she displays. On May 21st, I've also provided several witness statements to show that she's established a history of stalking and intimidating behavior. May 21st, Tara comes to my house unannounced while I have company. A friend of mine is moving out of state and was bringing me some things. She blocked my friend in my driveway, inserting herself into our conversation and interrupting what we were previously talking about. This was at 12:46 p.m. My friend, myself, and Tara left shortly after because I received a phone call about an emergency situation that I had to go help with. In the witness statement, my friend explains that I had asked Tara if she wanted her drill back. At the time, the drill was in my shed with a lock on it. I didn't have my keys on me. They were inside, and I offered to go inside and grab my keys to unlock the shed and give her her drill back. She told me no, that we would figure it out later, and left. At 6:40 that same day on the 21st, Tara showed up to the Bucota Improvement Club meeting late and inserted herself into conversation, making people clearly uncomfortable. I think that I have a witness statement that expressed that as well. At 7:32, I was talking to John, who was the witness to that, outside of town hall. Tara drove up from one of the back roads that goes behind town hall, stops in the middle of the road, ushers another vehicle that was driving behind her to go around her. And she interrupted my conversation I was having with John, demanding that I go talk to her. This is when in front of John, I expressed that I did not feel comfortable with the way that she handled certain situations with certain people. I did not feel safe going and talking to her alone, and that things needed to just settle and just be left the way that they were. Maybe at a future time, we could talk about things and try to smooth things out, but there was no this is not what she wanted to hear. She wanted things to go the way that she wanted things to go. Otherwise, it wasn't right to her. May 22nd at 6:47 p.m., Tara came to my house once again unannounced. I was getting ready to leave for a meeting at town hall, and she blocked my car in the driveway, calling me relentlessly, walking around my property, touching my belongings, looking through my windows. She saw that I was recording her. I provided evidence to the court of pictures of her standing in my windows, looking at me, going like this, expressing her discontent with me not wanting to follow her directions to come outside when she wanted. She sat in my driveway after being asked to leave. I also provided text message proof of her being asked to leave multiple times. She sat in my driveway for almost an hour. In that time, she contacted law enforcement. I'm not sure that I provided the police report, the 3-page police report stating that she called dispatch, telling them that she was going to break into my shed and steal things from my property. She was advised by dispatch not to. Within that time, I had called 911 as well. They were busy with other calls, so they were not able to make it to my residence within obviously within an hour. I called town hall. I talked to the clerk and I expressed my unease for the situation and that I was feeling unsafe. They know about the history of the harassment, the stalking, the intimidating character that Tara displays, and the town clerk sent the public works worker to my house to bring me back to town hall to wait for officers safely. Within that time of leaving my house with the public works worker, Tara stayed for another almost 15 minutes in my driveway and left for 6 minutes, drove down the road to retrieve 3 other individuals, one female who also recorded the entire incident on their behalf, a male, Joshua Johnson, who was also arrested that day, carrying bolt cutters, and stated to the cops, who also put it in the police report, that he was lied to about the reason that he was there, and he was asked to be there as an intimidating presence. I live alone. I'm a disabled veteran and I live alone, and they know this. And I am in fear for my safety every day since this has happened. I don't feel safe leaving my house. I don't feel safe going into my yard because they constantly drive by, not only them, but they have the neighbors on the other side of them also doing these things, driving by my house with windows down, hooting and hollering, flipping me off, laughing.
Okay, ma'am, I'm gonna hear from the Brosets now,
Excuse me.
and I'll
Sorry.
start with you, ma'am. Tara, you raise your right hand, please. You swear and affirm the information and testimony you provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
I'll hear from you to respond to what we all just heard.
I also, sorry.
I'm sorry, what was you gonna say, Ms. Yunker?
I also have more. There was more things even after being served. The
Okay, well, I thought you were finished. I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're okay, Your Honor. I had to pause a second so I didn't become emotional.
What happened after they were served?
So the 22nd, that was when she criminally trespassed, was arrested for criminally trespassing and theft in the 3rd degree. On the 25th is when they had the bonfire that I had to call because the flames were reaching at least 3 foot above the 6-foot fence that my neighbors were trying to build. On the 27th, the Timberland Library incident happened, where the deputy was called out, Tara went outside. The cop was talking to her, and we witnessed through the window that they both were elevating voice levels. Tara was not happy about being told that she was escalating the situation, and that the cop came back and told us that morning was when she tried to go get a protection order and was denied by the court. On the 29th, Tara drove down the road with Elijah, her 13-year-old stepson, who she also included in the criminal trespass onto my property. You can see in the videos that he was the one she handed the drill to after Joshua cut the lock off of my shed. She drove down the road with Elijah and the 16-year-old girl that they have living at their house. with the hatch open on their van driving down Main Street while they were hanging out of the van. On the 30th at 10:02 a.m., they were served papers and it was relatively quiet that day. On the 31st, however, all of the kids loaded up into a wagon, and they've never walked down the sidewalk before, and especially without going down to the other side of town. All of the kids loaded up, walking on our side of the street, the sidewalk on our side of the street, pointing at the houses as they walked past, talking and laughing. Elijah was also in tow, the 13-year-old stepson. And that was the same day that Dylan and his associate Joshua harassed Timberly on the road going down to the market on the corner. At 6:11 p.m., I have video of Dylan and Joshua driving by my house and doing a turnabout in front of my driveway to go back down to the other side of town. I had to call a friend to come sit with me and help me do lawn care because I was trying to work in my garden and trying to mow my yard, and I didn't feel safe doing it because of the excessive number of times that they were driving by and doing turnabouts in front of my driveway and what they had just done to Timberly driving down the road. All events stopped after that happened. It's like anytime I have a witness to anything, they don't proceed with anything. When I'm alone or there is no witness, that's when they feel that they can get away with this kind of behavior. On 6/7, I was told that was when the Dakota Improvement Club had our Garden Day event. The previous Improvement Club meeting that Tara had went to that she was late for, she was over volunteering for positions, things during this Garden Day that even the other members of the club commented that she was overextending herself and trying to do too much, especially after never having volunteered for an event or doing anything with the Dakota Improvement Club at all previous to this. Whereas I've been volunteering, helping with different things around town. I have a job with town hall. I don't know where this ends. I don't understand how this could all evolve from me telling her that I, due to my health conditions, cannot handle discontent, discord in my life, drama. I don't want to have to choose two neighbors. And
let me hear from, and I understand that, ma'am, and I'll come back to you, but I do want to hear what the Proces have to say. I mean, we've all heard a lot.
Yes,
and so I want to get their perspective on what's been said. And so Ms. Proces, I've already sworn you in. Go ahead.
I first would am wanting to ask, did you receive the electronic files that I've submitted?
I think some of these that they will receive, some of them I haven't been able to see.
Okay, I've been trying for a while.
Yeah, and I think that okay, I have the one, if anything that came in today, I have not seen.
I haven't even put it.
Yeah, but go ahead, ma'am. You've heard a lot. I'm going to assume you were there for a lot of it. So I guess, what's your perspective on all of this?
Sorry, it's a lot to
It is.
put together.
I can ask you, I can see things that concern me, and then I can ask you questions about them. And I guess, first of all, how old is Elijah?
12.
Okay. I can come back to that. And then what's the issue on the puppies? What's that all about?
The first incident of the puppies, the white one had gotten into my yard and they weren't home. I didn't know what to do with the dog. We live right next to the train tracks. I didn't want it to get hurt. I put it in the kennel in my house for my puppy, and told Crystal and my next door neighbors that I had the dog, and if they were looking for it or asking around by the time they got home, that they could tell her that I had it. I went to a Bucota Improvement Club event, and I was helping out there, and my kids were, being a part of it. And Timberly drove down, asked my oldest. We've instructed them for a very long time not to talk to Timberly or be involved in any way. And for a long time now, they are afraid of her. They don't want to be around her when she's they don't want to be outside when she's outside, because she's relentlessly harassed them, screamed at them, cussed at them. So he ran off, and then my 7-year-old, I don't know exactly what he said, but apparently said that, it was in our house. I saw her talking to my kids, so I walked outside. She asked if I had it. I said, yes, I do. I have 15 minutes left until this event ends. I'll come home and give it to you. I did that. The second time, the 2 dogs had gotten off her property, and I parked in the road, and was walking her dogs back to her house because they weren't super far away, but they were going in the opposite direction. As soon as I got to where her property would start, she came outside and she said, how did you guys get out of the gate? And they ran towards her, and I got in my car and I left.
What about this path that I've heard about that you've been walking back and forth on, then a fort that's alleged to have been built there? Tell me about that.
The fort is on BNSF railway property. So there's about 12 feet from where the rock meets. It's about 50 feet from the middle of the railroad out to our properties along it. So it's not on her property. And
given all the conflict, why would you do something that close to it?
What?
Well, build the fort if it is near her property, yes.
We live right next, we share a property line.
I know, but where this is now, I expect I'm going to get something different from her. Given everything that's gone on, you just told me you told your kids to stay away from there. Why would you let them build a fort that's right next to her property?
It was there before she moved in.
When did you move in?
February of 24.
Okay. And then was she there when you got there, or did she predate you?
She moved in August, I think.
Of 2024?
Yes.
Continue on, ma'am.
So yeah, I mean, it's a big fort. We've used cribs to pieces to screw it all together. It has a cover, it has couches that were found behind the property, put in there. It's always been there. The trail from behind her fence goes from my property to Crystal's property, and both my family and her have always used it. Timberly at one point said we couldn't use it, so we stopped and we started using different paths to get there. And then Crystal had relayed that she didn't care that we used it anymore, so we continued using it. We never have stopped to stare or whatever that is.
Has anybody ever directed Elijah to do anything? I've heard from I think as I was said, to stand on a hill to look and put herself in position.
We've never.
Has he done that on his own?
I don't know if he did it, honestly. I've never witnessed him
With regard to Ms. Yunker, tell me about the blocking the car, and she explained that you were onto her property and looking in her windows and all of that. What's that all about?
Yeah, I had wrote a letter explaining that incident.
Okay, why don't you explain it to me again now?
That day that I came, didn't know we weren't friends. We were in the middle of it, we've never had problems before, and we were in the middle of a tiff. So I didn't know. And when I had come over, I was, walking around looking at the chickens, and I had knocked and waited a minute because sometimes, we're with each other almost every day for the past 7 months. So I waited, and then as I was walking back to the door to knock again, I saw in her window she was video recording me, and I was confused and I wasn't quite like to the point of understanding fully that we weren't friends anymore. And once I did, I got in my car and I called 911 and I asked them to help me get my stuff. I was waiting for an officer to give me a call. And in that time, there was a message thread between Crystal and I. And so I finally got a call saying that they weren't going to come out and help me. And so I had called a friend and was talking to them about what I should do and how I need to handle the situation. So I was reading online. She was refusing me to give me my stuff back. So I had
How did
left.
you, wait a minute, how'd you get that? How do you come to rise to that conclusion that she wasn't gonna give it? Sounds to me like she was willing to do
Because I
it.
had asked her multiple times, at least 5 in that week, that she was sick and having migraines and all of that. But I never pressed the issue. It was me coming, can I have it? No, not right now. Oh, I have an emergency to get to. All of these different things. And then once I realized we weren't friends anymore and she was still refusing to give it to me, she started like telling me that she wasn't going to give me my stuff back unless I gave her stuff back, which she'd never asked for, and I had no idea. This was all like very new. There was other things too, I can't remember. So I had left, and Timberly, her boyfriend and roommate, were sitting out there recording me and intimidating me. So I called my other friends and asked them if they would come help me get my belongings, and in particular Joshua, because
Was he the one who was called to intimidate?
he was called to be there to defend me, not to intimidate anybody. He never made any, I have the whole thing on video. He never made any, he'd never shown any aggression or intimidation in the whole process.
Well, to you. But go ahead, you could continue. And then
Crystal had
I
already
want to
left
hear, I
at
have some
that
questions
point.
for Dylan Brissett also.
Crystal had already left at that point, and then it was just my neighbors, who I've had a long history of them harassing me and my family. And so I took my stuff and I left, and I went straight to Joshua's house. I never changed clothes or anything. I had been in contact with 911 the whole time, updating them of the situation. There was complete transparency in all of it. And I left, and a while after that, I had finally had an officer come speak to me and told me that it was illegal for me.
Okay, so
to
hang on
take
just
my
a second.
stuff
If you're gonna
back.
stop about, if you're gonna talk about what you're charged with, you shouldn't do that.
No, I'm not.
Everything's recorded here, and that could be used against you. And I know you're charged with, and I can see it here, but you're also charged with criminal trespass and theft. I don't want you to talk about that, or any advice you received from law enforcement or anyone else for that matter. But go ahead. Or if you're done, I'll hear
Yeah,
from.
so I had left.
All right. So Dylan Brissett, could you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear and affirm the information and testimony you provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Sure.
You can put your hand down.
I don't know why I'm in a lot of these people's paperwork, or why I'm getting
Well,
a lot of grief on all of this.
I can tell you why I think they're here. And that is because I heard from someone that you were walking around, pacing around, swinging a baseball bat, at some point had firearms on you,
Yeah,
walking around. Let me finish, please. Also, there's a, where you, I think there was a stop in the middle of the road and blocked people. All that might have been alleged about Ms. Brose. And so, and I think just a general pattern of intimidation, running your car back and forth in front of someone's house an excessive number of times. That, I think, is why they're upset with you.
Okay, we can start with the driving past their house. I don't know if you know Bucota at all. There's one way in.
Not much.
There's one way in, and we live on one side of the town.
Right.
Our friends live at the other. For us to go anywhere, we have to drive past their houses.
Well, I understand that, but I
Yeah.
mean, having to drive by your house and then driving by 5 and 6 times in a short period of time are two different things. But go ahead.
It's never like that. Maybe the most times I've ever drove past were just grabbing tools to work on things and stuff like that. But I've never followed her. I've never even looked at her. I don't even know Timberly. I've never talked to her or her boyfriend in person one time. I know Crystal because they used to be friends and I used to go over there and help them and stuff like that. But for Timberly, I've never talked to her other than responding to her Facebook post on the Bucota page saying that we were trying to steal their dogs, and I was just trying to defend my family, saying that we have never tried to steal their dogs and stuff like that, that they're trying to put us in a bad light. I do carry a firearm in a holster on my side, not to intimidate or anything like that. I just carry, I have my CPL. It's not an intimidation thing. It's not, they're saying we're walking their property line. We have a garden that's right next to the fence, like literally 2 feet from where they're trying to build the fence. That's in the wrong spot, that we had to pay to have a surveyor come out and tell us where the real property lines are.
So you were on their property for a period of time? Or
No.
No,
No, I think the only time where they're saying that we were on their property was walking back and forth from our
Right.
house to Crystal's house, behind the fence that they had built and stuff like that. And Crystal walked the path, we walked the path. I was never told, again, I've never talked to Timberly in person ever, or her boyfriend. She's never told me that she didn't want me to walk on the back behind her fence. It was just a little shortcut in between our house and Crystal's house, and everybody used it. So the baseball bat thing is weird because I have a permanent pole right next 15 feet away from that property line where you know the hit away things, a ball on a string, you throw it around, it goes boom, it comes back, you hit it. You use it for practicing baseball. I have 2 sons that are in baseball. My older son and me were practicing that day, and I don't know why they're saying I was threatening or intimidating them or swinging a bat around randomly, because that's not the case. There should be pictures. In the electronic thing, it's literally a concreted in pole, not connected to anything. It serves one purpose, and it's for practicing.
Okay. Anything further?
I don't know.
Okay. So Ms. Flores, I'll come back to you. Do you have a response? And again, you don't need to repeat everything you've already told me. Just respond to what you've heard from the 2 Broses here.
Okay, so in the evidence that I have submitted, yes, they do have the garden and they do have that cement pole, but you can see him swinging the baseball bat around at the fence line, which is past their garden. And I also have video evidence that I submitted of them building the fort while I was living here. They are once again lying to try and get out of it. A lot of this, a lot of the evidence that I have submitted will show you that they're trying to water down and downplay everything that they have done.
Okay, Ms. Junker, I'll hear from you. Anything you wish to say in response?
Yes, Your Honor. You know, I had so many things to come back with the things that Tara said. There were multiple lies that she had said in her statement. I definitely have tried to coordinate getting the drill back to her previously. Yes, as I previously stated, I suffer from chronic migraines. She's well aware of that. As she stated, we were really good friends for at least 7 months before all of this stuff happened. I also can provide evidence showing that she knew that she was not welcome to use the path in between the two houses, and Timberly allowed me to use it because I was a mutual party and would not choose sides between the few that I did not agree with that Tara was trying to exacerbate by putting multiple structures right next to the property line, right next to the fence. Also, that fort that is on BNSF railroad property. BNSF has been notified about it. They are not happy about it because it's illegal to build on BNSF property. Also, the fort is on the opposite side of Timberly's property, farthest from the Brose's house and closest to my house. So they built that fort there to intentionally allow their children to continue with the intimidation factor. I personally, in the entire 7 months that I was friends with the Brose, I have never seen an interaction between, except for through text messages and Facebook things, between Timberly, Tyler, and the Broses. The only thing I've ever seen are about the dog situations and Timberly asking Tara, as I asked Tara to stop trespassing on my property and to please leave me alone.
Okay.
I'm very concerned for the children too. I have witnessed in the times that I have been friends with her, the children running across South Main Street, where she herself has gone to town hall meetings, expressing concern for the speed that people drive down this road. There are many witnesses in town of her allowing her children supervised to walk across that street. Her youngest is, I believe, 3 or 4, I want to say. And he is also allowed to walk across that street unsupervised and barefoot. They're allowed to walk barefoot along the railroad tracks. I also have evidence showing that there is a problem with people who use drugs in town, and especially along the tracks. There was evidence of finding needles and spoons on the tracks that she had previously cleaned up.
Okay, so ma'am, again, I'm going to stop you there. Again, the only thing I can be here for here today is whether or not no contact orders are entered or not. You know, the concerns you raise, that's just, there's no way to say this other than to say it. There's nothing I can do about that. That would be handled in a different court in a different place. And the only thing I can do here today is enter no contact orders or not. So go ahead. Do you have anything further?
I don't believe I do. I would just really like to have peace of mind knowing that I have a little bit more protection in my house since I live alone, and they've proven that they will bring outside entities to my house to complete their agenda.
Okay. So again, I'm ready to rule, and we'll rule as follows. First of all, there's 2 separate petitions bought by 2 different households. Apparently, the Broses live in between Ms. Yonker and Ms. Flores. And then before I say what I'm going to do, I just want to say a couple of things to both Ms. Flores and Ms. Yonker. You know, I can't enter an order that gives you good neighbors. There's just nothing I can do about that. You made complaints about their dogs coming onto your property. Honestly, there's nothing I can do about that. If there are statutes and rules in place for dogs, and whether they're at large or things like that, and that happens in another place. That doesn't here. Same is true with the children, Ms. Yanker. I've never met their children. I don't know anything about them other than what's been told to me here today. But that's just not in front of me. And even if it, you know, those sorts of concerns can't be addressed in a court like this. But having heard the evidence and listened to everything, I do find that it's appropriate to enter orders in these cases, and you folks just aren't to contact them. That's just basically it. There's not going to be a distance restriction. There really can't be. In terms of when you live right next to each other, they're entitled to the use of all of their house. If there's common um, use of property that's owned by others, like the railroad. The railroad's not here. I don't know if they have a problem with people doing things or building forts on there, which I understand what they do, because I may be speaking a little bit longer than I should, but when people or kids go on to other people's property and build things, that creates a liability issue for the property owner. So I'll bet they're not too enthusiastic about having people or kids go on there and build forts and things of that sort. I don't know that. I'm just guessing that. But when I look at all the things in conjunction with each other with regard to Ms. Junker, with regard to the incident on the house, the coming onto the property, looking into the window, and I mean, just common sense tells me that you would have a better way to respond to that rather than just wander around based on everything I've heard. And I do find that crosses the line into harassing behavior, which is appropriate for an order to be entered. With regard to Ms. Flores, it's just a combination of all of these things, including, frankly, yes, Mr. Brose, you have a right to own a firearm or carry a firearm. Apparently, you just told me you had a CPL. I have no reason to doubt that. But I think in an objective sense, given the tenuous nature that's got of the relationship between you folks, I think a lot of people would find that intimidating when you're walking on the property, on your own property with an exposed firearm. And that's, yes, you have a right to do that, but when it's done for the purpose and when people are sometimes legitimately scared about that, which clearly put her at ease, I find that rises to the level where an order is appropriate, and so I'm going to enter an order, which doesn't affect anything else other than to say you folks are just not to contact either one of them. Do you understand that? Don't communicate with them. And if there's a meeting, I think I've heard of there's been some issues arising at the Bakota Improvement Association. Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor, the
And,
Improvement Club, and I also volunteer with Town Hall that she has been showing up recently more than she ever has.
you have a question, ma'am?
I wanted to respectfully say that a lot of this stuff I had put into my response to all of this. And I feel like I didn't really get a good chance to respond other than your questions.
Well, I've reviewed, I asked you for your perspective. I did review what was submitted, the stuff that came in today. If stuff came in today, I didn't see that. That's true. But, and so, I mean, I thought I gave you basically, gave you the microphone, so to speak. Tell me how you respond.
It just, a lot of the allegations that were made against us, as far as their fence on my property, I submitted last week all the paperwork stating that it is on our property. I've submitted about the library incident, and then I put videos in of the library. I requested at 3 different angles. I'll show them being aggressors in that situation. I also have the CAD notes from the officer explaining that, also saying that he didn't feel like I was going to retaliate. I have another CAD note from another officer stating that they had been harassing me the weekend after the order was put into place.
Well, ma'am, two things can be true in that regard. And, I'm not asked to decide whether or not they're harassing you. I'm asked to decide whether or not the pattern of behavior you guys have engaged in is harassing them. And I am that finding. And maybe, and again, I know you've already asked for that once, and that was a different judge. I didn't hear that case. But that's where I'm at with this, given the testimony.
In regards to the weapons, one of our dogs last December got attacked by a cougar, and I had a sheriff come out who helped me with the whole thing, and that's when my husband had decided to get his CPL.
And I carry daily.
He carries daily and on our property because we've encountered bears and cougars and coyotes and other dangerous animals in our area. Driving past their properties, we also do that, but we don't look at them. When they were talking about the 6 times that he had driven past, they were having their, the Flores were having their person that lives with them come out with his shirt off, flexing at my husband. Yonkers has yelled and screamed at him to come get some of this and in attempts to have him come, I'm assuming, fight with her. There's just a lot here that is false, and we've been the one who have been being harassed for so long, and I have ample evidence to prove that. And I could respond to everything, every situation, but I mean, obviously things that aren't true, I couldn't respond to, but there's just so much here that I should have wrote it down or something.
All right. Well, ma'am, like I say, that's my decision, and hopefully this makes it a bright line for you. But again, shouldn't change how you live. They're just not a part of your life. That's all, which is what I kind of think you
I don't have a problem
want.
with that, but I've also included messages from the Improvement Club members besides Yonkers and the person that she had brought that one time. I'd never seen him before. Every message that I asked them, hey, I didn't mean to make this uncomfortable. I just had gotten home from my son's baseball game, so that's why I was late. Every single one, including the president, told me that that was not the case, and they don't know how I came to that conclusion. I also didn't say that she was the one who was making those accusations, but they have all acknowledged that that was not the case.
You wanted to say something? I'll give you the final word here, and then.
Oh, shoot. Yeah, my wife is going to school to become a phlebotomist, and I know working in hospitals and stuff like that, they ask you if you have protection orders against you.
Right.
So I feel like this is going to affect her career, like this is a real physical thing other than just not talking to them, which is no problem.
Right.
It's a detriment to my
over a bunch of
career.
lives. They literally called CPS on us. They call the cops on us every single time they can. They're always reporting us. So if there was actually anything that really happened, except for them lying, like the days that they said we were watching them on the property line or anything like that, she had a video camera on us the whole time. We were never threatening them. We were never doing anything like that. So it's insane that they're abusing the system like this, and it's going to actually affect her life. Like, I'm a trucker. It doesn't affect me. They're not going to ask me.
I know you
but
haven't seen
her, it
the
will.
electronic stuff that I have submitted, but there is ample evidence in that. And that's why I've tried like 6 different times to get that to the courts. And that's why I submitted them, because
Right.
they are contradicting what their statements are saying.
That's what I made my decision. That's going to stand for now. This is not a domestic violence. And so I know domestic violence is an issue with maybe health professionals. I'm not sure that this is, but this is just a civil anti-harassment order. And that's it here for today.
Just anti-harassment?
That's
or is
it.
Petitioning against guns or?
Nope, doesn't affect that a bit.
So
No,
how
but
do
you need to
I-
think about how you conduct yourself out there. I would suggest
Am I
that.
not allowed to carry?
I just said, I'm not,
This is
again, I'm not going to answer the
weird.
question. I know.
I'm not gonna stop
I know.
carrying. I carry
Okay,
my
all
car,
right.
I carry on my.
I've said what I'm going to say. You can take that however you want. And if you want copies of this order, you can wait here or you can get them off the website.
Your
Yeah,
Honor,
we'll
can I
take-
dispute this?
What's that?
Can I dispute your judgment?
Final.
What's that? You can appeal if you wish, but that's, you need to, but again, I can't tell you how many, how to go about that. That's something you're going to have to do. But yes, you can certainly appeal it if you wish.
Okay.
And you're free to go. You folks are free to leave the Zoom call.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor. Wonderful day.
Ms. Lowe, Ms. Alderson and Ms. Ehart can come on the Zoom call. You can go wait outside. Justin will come and give you a copy of that in just a moment. Thank you. Before you do that, I'm going to speak with my boss here. So if we don't get done, we come back here. I know 1:30 courtroom 4. I'm asked to, rather than mess around with courtroom 4, we'll come back here at 1.
Well, it wouldn't be courtroom 4, it would be courtroom 1.
Oh, it is courtroom, okay, perfect. Then, all right.
Yeah, it'd be
All right,
1:30.
we can do that.
Yeah.
That's not a problem. Was there, okay, perfect. Okay.
Have it designated for that from now on.
Right. So this is a case that I'm also a bit familiar with. Mr. Huntley, you're free to leave this, there, you're gone. The Zoom call. The case that I've also been familiar with, I've reviewed beforehand. We've had a couple of hearings. Things were reset to now. I will tell you, it's now 11:36. I don't know whether we need to stop this at about 11:50 because I have a meeting I need to be at on noon. And if we're not done by 11:50, we're going to pick it back up at 1:30 in courtroom number 1. All right.
Okay.
So Ms. Lowe, we'll start with you. Raise your right hand. Do you swear and affirm the information and testimony you provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? You can put your hand down. How is it? And these are your upstairs neighbors
Yes, sir.
who both live in different apartments upstairs. Is that correct?
Correct.
I'll hear from you on why you need an order against them. And you need to be individual, each one. You just can't say, well, they're doing this. I need to hear about Ms. Potter, and then I need to hear about Ms. Ehart. Am I saying your name correctly, Bessa? Is it Ehart or is it Ehart, or how do I say your last name?
It's Ehart.
Thank you. Go ahead, Ms. Lowe.
I've lived at Forest Grove Apartments for 3 years now, going on 4.
I need you to speak louder and slower.
Can you hear me any better?
Yes.
Okay. I have lived at Forest Grove Apartments for 3 years now, going on 4, and this has been a continuous issue since I moved in. Amanda Ehart and Stephanie Potter have been a huge problem and impact on my life.
Okay, ma'am.
Yes.
Slower. Slow down, okay?
Sorry.
It's not a race. And we'll have plenty of time this afternoon if we have to do that.
Okay. I have lived at Forest Grove Apartments for 3 years now, going on 4, and this has been a continuous issue since I have first moved in. Amanda Ehart and Stephanie Potter have been a huge problem and impact on my life. I feel as if I cannot even come outside of my own home, let my daughter play outside, or have any company at all. Like, it feels as if someone is watching us everywhere we go. It's gotten worse over the years, and I came to the point where I am fed up with the lies, threats, and comments. I'm not sure where else to turn to, so this is my last resort. I am a single parent with a 5-year-old daughter. I work 10 to 12 hours a day, Monday through Friday, and I rarely come home on weekends because I take care of my grandparents. When I do come home, they make me extremely uncomfortable. These women are outside majority of the day and night. They smoke cigarettes, so that's their reasoning for being out. With that being said, every time I come home from work or from my grandparents, they are outside on the porch or on the balcony in the back. They have men as well that live up there with them that I'm not very familiar with. They've lived there, but I don't know them personally. From the moment I drive my car into my parking space to the moment I get out of my vehicle to grabbing my daughter out of the car, down to me walking into my home, they stare at me, they make racial slurs, comments underneath their breath, even go as far as recording me with their phones. I rarely ever have any company over, but I have noticed that when I do have company, they tend to call the police and make false statements to get them to come out quickly and completely disrespect my family or friends. It's come down to the point where my family won't even come over anymore.
Okay, so again, you're speeding up, ma'am. You're speeding up. And so what did you say about the police?
I said, whenever they make police calls and false statements to make them come out quickly, threaten me. I'm sorry.
So they're calling the police on you.
Yes, correct. Correct. To get them out and completely disrespect my family or friends. It's come down to the point that my family will not come over anymore because of how uncomfortable they have made me and them. They had come downstairs on multiple occasions throughout the years, banging on my door, blowing smoke in my face, threatening me, all for minor instances. We do have a 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. noise rule in our complex. At about 8 p.m., sometimes even as early as 6 p.m., they have called the police for playing music or parties. I only have 2 friends. Both have children with autism, and they are both nonverbal. So they do scream or yell occasionally, which I have already expressed to them before. I figured that they would understand that since one has stated that they have a son with autism as well. They do not care. I do not have parties, and I don't own any weapons in the home, from which they have told the police on multiple occasions. Another false report. I have offered police to come into my home on multiple occasions, but they have stated that there is no need. In police reports, you notice officer states words such as no party, they were calm and cordial, and so forth as examples. I do not seek out for drama or problems. I'm quite a quiet person who sticks to herself. I don't talk to anyone in the complex. I have a lot going on in my personal life, and I do not have the time. People move in and out of the apartment so frequently, it's hard to really get to know someone. I had to even purchase a Ring camera because of all of these issues. I used to let my daughter play with toys outside in the back with the grass, but I can unfortunately no longer do this because of the harassment and drama. My daughter is now scared that police will come to our door or even themselves, meaning Amanda as well as Stephanie, because of how frequent this has become. They have spit down at my company. When I state this, I believe it was Amanda. It was either Amanda or Fern, but he is not involved in this. They have made racial slurs towards all of my friends, African American or biracial, whichever it is. Also to myself as well. They throw trash down onto my porch. They burn holes in my furniture. They throw cigarettes at me. They take photos of me. They make false reports. They make me feel unsafe in my own home. As neighbors, I have never found it right to automatically call it law enforcement as soon as something doesn't go the way that I want it. I feel as if it can be handled civilly. Also because there's no need to call the police for every minor inconvenience when law enforcement has much more important things to do. They are up at all hours, almost as if they don't even sleep. Sounds as if they are moving furniture, as an example, not directly. It's just very loud. Around 2 a.m. to 3 a.m. almost every night. They have a dog or some type of animal that continuously runs back and forth. They have questionable people coming in and out.
I'm going to stop you there. I think one of them has a child who has sleep issues, has been up. I think, and I expect I'll get an explanation for whoever that is. I think that's you, Ms. Uhart. Is that correct? Or Ms. Potter, sorry. But continue on there, Ms. Lowe.
Okay. Questionable people coming in and out of the home at all hours. They play rock music at 5 a.m. They smoke cigarettes a lot, so it lingers into my apartment constantly. And mind you, all of these instances, I've talked to them about it on multiple occasions. We've had a few landlords in our apartment complex that have come and gone.
Ms. Potter, yeah, your facial expressions and demeanor are not helping you. I'm just telling you that. And so I'll give you a chance to respond. So you just need to conduct yourself in a little bit more respectful manner. Ms. Lowe, you can continue.
Thank you. I've seen all the statements that they've made, and I've seen that mine are. It's basically, it's really just looking like a tit for tat type of situation, and it's really high school drama, and it's very annoying, and frankly, I'm very over it. I have reached out to them personally to try to resolve this. I've emailed our landlord about these issues. I've never called the police besides once or twice, and that's also, I have provided that, but I don't know if that's even relevant to the situation at this moment. I am trained and certified in crisis intervention. I am very well able to de-escalate many situations in many different settings. I've tried with them multiple times. It just does not work. With my previous fields of work, I am set to be in hostile situations on a daily basis. I would really appreciate it if I didn't have to deal with that at home as well. We have a few landlords that come and go, as I stated. But every single one of them, at some point, I have reached out about issues with Stephanie Potter and Amanda Ehart, our most current landlord. I have been speaking about these issues to since 4/27 of this year. And he stated, I have no incidents or documents of any complaints besides the ones I have made myself against them. They don't try to speak to our office. They immediately call the police to try to make malicious acts against me or to try to scare me. Our last court date was on 5/27 of this year. That evening, I had my screen door open, and while I was cleaning in the kitchen, I overheard them talking about me. And everybody that made a statement, sorry, everybody that had made a statement about them calling us worthless and trash, and that if my harassment order is granted, they will get my daughter involved in all of this. They are trying to find ways to retaliate me for filing harassment, and I just want peace. I want to be able to sit outside and let my daughter play with her friends and enjoy her company and my company as well, as they get to do so without any worries, or even be able to just open my windows or screen doors without hearing someone talk about me in terrible ways. This has affected my mental health the constant worry of what's going to happen. This has affected my workspace, large amounts of stress, and this has also affected my means to be at home. I would really appreciate it if we could get this order in place so I can feel as if I have some stability. I am asking for this protection order for threatening, intimidating, and stalking behaviors with these two parties. I feel cornered and outnumbered. It's me versus the four of them. And when I say four, I mean,
Ma'am, there's only two here.
Yes.
I only see orders against two folks. So that's the only thing
Correct.
that's in front of me here today.
correct. I'm just putting that out there as to there is more people that live there as well. But yes, it's mainly them two, but it's just me versus them two if that's in that instance. They use the fact that they are well above my age as leverage. They are not as charming as and as kind as they are appearing to be so. Per the other party statements, I have spoken with the apartment complex and he has never stated that all three parties would be getting any form of an eviction notice. I also have this in email verification. The people that come in and out of their home make me feel unsafe. It's a hostile environment. I am not trying to kick anybody out. I'm not evil. I'm fair. I just want them to leave me and my family alone. I know that if this order is not granted, they will continue this. It will be worse than the high school drama I'm dealing with now, and they will try to retaliate with malicious intent.
So what we're gonna have, we're gonna stop now, and then we're gonna reconvene at 1:30 in courtroom number 1, and then I'll hear from Ms. Potter and Ms. Ehart.
Thank you.
So when you log back in at 1:30, it needs to be courtroom number 1.
Okay.
Ms. Ehart, Ms. Lowe, Ms. Potter, can you come on the Zoom call, please? What's your response to Ms. Lowe's request for an anti-harassment order?
My request to that is I think it's just a bunch of drama and BS. I've lived here 10 years. I've never had a problem with another neighbor. As I stated in my statements, that can be seen if this does go through, because it's nothing. The apartments here at Forest Grove and the Cambridge Management Group that does these apartments is just going to kick everybody out because they don't deal with this. In regards to like some of her statements and her letters that we got to read, we don't have jobs, we're out here smoking all the time, these kind of things. Yeah, I smoke a lot. I'm also disabled, so I don't have a job. Yeah, and then with when she put this order into effect, some of the children around here she was rude to. From what I understand from hearing the neighbor downstairs, and their mother said that children shouldn't be involved with this, obviously. She just has a lot of problems with all the tenants. Honestly, I'm not sure why she's not getting one of these on everybody here. So what else?
So,
Yes.
if you called the police on Ms. Lowe?
I have one time, yes, and I pulled all the police reports, and there's nothing saying that I've done it more than once. I submitted the police reports that are relevant and in there.
All right. And you have a number of health concerns, is that correct? Yeah, you don't need to get specific. Okay. You have a suggestion that can help you? You should quit smoking.
Right.
I mean, it's expensive for one thing. It's not, I can't believe there's a doctor in the world who thinks that's a good idea, given what, and I'm not going to specify or anything like that, but I mean, this might just be one more reason just to quit smoking. And I think that would go a long way.
I'm currently working on that. I'm actually on the patches.
What about these comments and, for lack of a better term, bad mouthing her around in front of others and so forth?
I don't know where she's getting that.
She's getting it because she said she heard it.
Right. I don't talk like that. I've raised my children not to talk like that. In regards to sex, color, anything like that. So I'm not sure where she's hearing it.
Let me hear from Ms. Potter.
There's been no spitting, no throwing cigarettes at people. I mean, those are criminal acts. I mean, And we don't act like that. We don't want our children to act like that. As far as knocking on her door all the time, I've knocked on her door maybe twice. One time was to DoorDash to her, and the other time was to ask her to turn her music down. I am completely uncomfortable in my own home now because of this. I live upstairs. There's gonna be noises, there's gonna be things. I don't make racial comments. I have friends that are different races and people of different sexual orientations. This has been mentally excruciating. My son is freaking out. He's schizophrenic and autistic, thinking we have to move because I was told specifically from Cambridge, if any of this goes through, all three of us are out. And I have nowhere to go. I have 2 jobs, so I don't know how I am sitting here doing this. They are both full-time jobs. I am hardly ever here. This is ridiculous, and I can't deal with it. I really can't. I don't know what else to say.
How long have you lived there?
I have lived here over 6 years, and I've never had a problem with another neighbor. There is nothing
Ms.
in the
Ehart, how long
file.
have you lived here? Ms. Ehart?
I have
How
lived
long?
here going 10 plus years now, almost 11.
Okay, and Ms. Lowe, you've been there for about 3, is that accurate?
Correct. I'm going on 4.
Was there ever a time when the 3 of you got along? Or was this never gotten along?
If I'm completely honest, yes, in the very beginning when I first moved in, as I stated that they're always outside, they were outside smoking when I was moving in my furniture on my first day. And I was with my mother and my little brother, and we introduced ourselves. We were very nice to each other, and it was fine for a few months, and then it just started changing.
All right. So Ms. Potter, you can continue unless you're done.
Well, that had to do with the parties, which I have to say she hadn't been doing for quite some time. But in the beginning, they were all night parties, yelling and screaming. Her boyfriend and her were going at it at the time, all the time. There were other neighbors that were calling the cops that no longer live here. And from my understanding, they left because of all of it. But that's been a couple of years ago. Now, this only other instance was the night of the barbecue stuff.
Well, tell me about that.
So I came home from work and there was music pounding in my apartment from downstairs. So we went outside and I noticed they were barbecuing. There was all this smoke everywhere. And I said, "You're not supposed to be barbecuing." And she was all, "Bitch, I don't have time for this right now. I am not dealing with this." And her friends started making racial comments to us. One of them said that he had a 9 and knows how to use it, not a knife, like the police report says. That's why we called, because we got threatened. Also, they were drinking and smoking weed, and one of them proceeded to pour alcohol on the flames, so it flamed on more because they were mad that we called the police. So, and then the police come, and there was a witness sitting on the back porch that heard the whole conversation between the police and Miss Lowe and her friends.
Do you smoke?
Yes, I do. I have smoked for over 30 years, all through cancer treatment, all during all of that, and I still smoke. But that is my prerogative and my business, and I don't think that anybody should tell me that I shouldn't be doing this or that when it comes to this kind of stuff. I'm 51 years old. I know the risks. I've been through them. I'm in remission now. I had stage 4 laryngeal cancer. I have a tracheostomy site that still has a hole that I deal with every day. But I've been in remission for over a year now. And that's the other thing. If I was doing this all these years, for a year, I had a tracheostomy and I was going through cancer treatments and all that. So really, I'm going down and pounding on her door with that thing and my talking device
Well, I
shooting
think
off.
hang on just a second. My point was really going to be, you know, if you're smoking, why are you complaining about her barbecue smoke?
Because they were pouring the alcohol on there and the flames were coming
No,
up.
you told me that was after
After
the
what?
police showed up, after the police were called.
No. That was why we called the police. That and the comment made by one of her friends about the 9. Okay. I am extremely stressed out. I'm about to lose one of my jobs. My boss, in fact, said, you better tell the judge that your job is in jeopardy because I've been so stressed out. I've been unproductive. And I've missed work because of this.
Where do you work?
I work at Rocket on the corner of College and Martin Way, 102 College. Joan Hargrove is my boss, my manager there. And then I'm also my son's caregiver, which that will be in jeopardy too if I have this kind of stuff going on. And I'm also oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say I'm also a mandatory reporter. So really, I'm going to be doing all of these things when it's stuff I should report that others are doing being abusive. I mean, come on, please. I don't call people names. I mean, how do I hold jobs if I'm doing this kind of stuff all the time? It makes no sense.
Well, a lot of things don't make any sense. I mean, you just told me you continued to smoke through cancer. That makes no sense to me. That makes zero sense to me. But I'm not judging. You talk about things that make no sense. That's something that doesn't make any sense to me. And so when you say, well, that makes no sense for me to do that, a lot of people do things that don't make any sense. So there's that. The second thing is, you know, this amount of stress that you're obviously under, which I can observe just even through Zoom, you might want to consider that Ms. Lowe might be experiencing that same amount of stress. Just food for thought there. And so maybe you could take that into consideration as you conduct yourself around the apartment. Because I'm just throwing out some food for thought there. It's the same thing there with Ms. Ehart. But here's what's going to happen today. So I guess I would say one other thing. You know, you had said that if the order goes through, you've been told by the establishment that that everyone's going to have to leave. I would think that you would if that's true, I would think you would conduct yourself going forward in a manner that keeps that in mind. I don't want to do anything that's going to put my living arrangement in jeopardy. So I mean, maybe take care, maybe not smoke where secondhand smoke can get into Ms. Lowe's space, and just be considerate. But here's what's going to happen today, ma'ams, I should say, all three of you, is so Ms. Lowe, I'm going to speak to you directly. And that is, you know, I read when you, it seems like, well, it was a long time ago now, but this morning when I read the definition of harassment, and, you know, it's directed at a specific person, serves no lawful purpose and what have you. You know, a lot of the things I've heard, like I said, I can't enter an order that gives you good neighbors. I can't enter an order that says, you know, that tells people how to behave. I can't enter an order that says, hey, you can't smoke. If she's complying with the rules around the apartment, And then with whatever those rules are with regard to smoking, there's nothing I can do about that. I can't I can't order her to be considerate. You know, the things that where you said you overheard things that were said, and that's the other thing, Ms. Potter, everyone's on their best behavior when they come into court. Everybody's a saint when they appear in front of me, but I live in the real world too, and I know things are a little bit different when I'm out there. When the things that happen out there are a little bit different from what's relayed to me in court. I get that. But the other things you may have overheard with them, for lack of a better term, bad mouthing you. You know, that's, you know, that I liken that back to the comment that I made earlier about what you see all too often in social media, like tell this person to stop bad mouthing me or stop talking bad about me on Facebook or what have you. You know, I can't stop that, nor can I stop, you know, gossip among tenants. And if these people are going to gossip amongst themselves, you know, frankly, there's not much I can do about that. You know, apartment living can be challenging. Sometimes people make noise. That, you know, Ms. Potter indicated, well, your music was too loud once. And you have said, well, Ms. Potter's makes noise coming from her apartment as well. If I get the parties right, Ms. Potter, I think it's your child, who maybe not be a child anymore, which makes, well, I mean, remember how irritated you were about the noise? Ms. Lowe might feel the same way about the thumping around in your apartment, even though there's mitigating things about that, but she's not crazy about that. She's got a job too. And if that's affecting her ability to sleep, she's going to be irritated about that also, don't you think? And so this is a long way of saying, you know, it's terribly unfortunate that you folks can't get along, but based on the allegations that, you know, that you have read there, Ms. Lowe, you know, I'm not going to enter an order at this time. But I hope that you all listen to all this, and I mean everybody, you know, maybe have some consideration for your neighbors. And again, well, I'll leave this. I mean, if you're gonna smoke, maybe you can do it in a way, or go out in the front, or away from her where it gets her here. They get that, you know, that might make a little bit extra effort to be considerate. But, you know, which I can order, but I think if you really have an interest in making sure that you're not going to get in any more trouble, the police aren't going to be called, you know, all of you can kind of conduct yourself in a manner with that in mind. I don't want to leave here. I want to stay here. You've been here for years. You don't want to do anything to mess that up now. You understand and that's to everybody. You understand that, Ms. Potter? And I need you to, it's helpful to speak out loud. You can unmute yourself.
Sorry. Yes.
Ms. Ehart?
Yes.
Ms. Lowe?
Yes.
Good luck to everybody. I mean, you're all adults. I would encourage you all to act like it. And that'll be it here for today.
I do have a quick question. Since we
Yes.
did all of this in the court, is it going to stay in the system? So it says, so to speak, for example, where everything's fine now, and, you know, like a month or two later, it goes back at it again. Am I able to file another harassment order, and will it
If
be
you
in
could,
place of this
yes,
one?
I mean, you can, and again, I'm only making a ruling as to what's to happen now. You know, what happens in the future, I've given up trying to predict that, so I'm not going to do that. But hopefully, everybody can listen to what I'm saying, and before they do anything or act or have a reaction to what's going on, maybe just take a step back and think about it. Do I really want to do this? Is this going to take the bad situation and things going to get better, or are things going to get worse based on what I do around the house? And again, I would ask you all to consider that. You know, I mean, they say maybe someone's not throwing ashes, but someone's careless with ashes from an upstairs balcony. Ashes are going to fall down. And be careful about that. And I just, yeah, I'll just leave it at that. Does that answer your question, ma'am?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Good luck to everybody. I hope you have it figured out there. It'd be a big deal for you all have to uproot at this point, and hopefully that won't happen. We won't come to that.
Thank you.
I don't think anybody wants that.
No.
No.
All right, well then act accordingly, and we'll sign off here today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You can get a copy of this off the district court website.
Okay.